Good morning, everyone.
Moin.
Moin.
Good weather, bad weather, we deliver. Welcome on board. Welcome to this online interview by Project Cargo Weekly. Our very special guest of honor today is Mr. Leif Müller. He is the Global Commercial Director at United Heavy Lift, based in Hamburg, Germany. First and foremost, Leif, very welcome to this interview.
Thanks a lot, Bo. Nice to see you.
Likewise. Well, I always allow my accused or interviewees to elaborate a little bit about their career. How come you're in shipping, Leif? Why are you not sitting in a bank or accountant or race driver or something else? Why are you in shipping?
Yeah, very good question. I was actually born south of Hamburg in Altes Land, close to Buxtehude, which is very close to the River Elbe.
Mhm.
And as a child, we've seen always the ships passing by on the river towards Hamburg. And also we've been sailing with my family a lot, with my father on all oceans together with the family. So the maritime industry was always something very fascinating and something romantic for me. And also we had the Citas shipyard close to us in the neighborhood where we were able to see the new builds, container feeder, heavy lift vessels and so on. And that was impressive. Even as a child, these small, from this perspective, small feeders, they look huge, and something catch me at that these days. And I wanted to continue a career in the shipping industry.
Okay, that's a fantastic way of putting it. Yeah, I can imagine as a child you think they are gigantic, and now it's nothing, you know. So how many years have you been in United Heavy Lift, and when was United Heavy Lift established?
Yeah, actually, we are celebrating this year 10-year anniversary at United Heavy Lift. So 1 decade now. We started in 2015 with a small team, and have grown up now last 10 years. And I was really happy and proud also that I was able to join from the first day here.
It's you're right. It's always something special to be part of the beginning and all the ins and outs, and suddenly you look back, 10 years has passed. So very impressive, Leif. United Heavy Lift, you are ship owners, and as I understand it, tell me about the ships that you own. What shall we say is remarkable about them?
Yeah, our core fleet basically exists of 19 so-called F900 eco types. The 900 stands for the crane capacity, combinable 900 ton, meaning 2 times 450 tons.
Okay.
And we have a sister fleet of 19 identical ships in our fleet. And they are all designed with a bridge forward, all built during the recent years. So basically the youngest and most modern fleet of sister vessels there is in the heavy lift market. Remarkable in this regard because they have one huge hold, which allows us to stow also big modules under deck and also all kind of general cargo. We're talking about almost 24,000 cubic meter hold capacity.
Wow.
And if you take all the underdeck, including tween decks and the weather deck, we have almost 7,000 square meter of deck space, cargo space.
Wow.
Meaning with a bridge forward, we can stow huge high cargos also. And because they are just built during the recent years, they are of course more or less state of the art in terms of eco-friendliness, meaning low consumption. Nowadays, even more important, low emissions, because we started paying also for the emissions here, right?
Right.
So yeah,
Okay,
that is the core fleet.
That's very impressive. And I suppose ships like yours would be ideal for renewable energy blades, cranes, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, they are. Actually, we found our small niche market within the heavy lift sector, I would say, with cargo types and customers who are very much in demand for these vessel types. It's not only renewables, it's also infrastructure, like you say, harbor mobile cranes, especially the big deck with a bridge forward design plays an important role where we are able to accommodate 4 to 5 fully assembled harbor mobile cranes, which we've done in the past also, quite some achievement. Yeah.
Okay, that's very impressive. Tell me, your headquarters is in Hamburg, I suppose, where you're sitting. You have offices elsewhere in the world. If you're sitting in Asia, is there somebody there you can speak to, or how is your office set up?
I mean, yeah, the company as such was started here in Hamburg. You could say it's still the head office, but United Heavy Lift being a global player, we have to have our offices at the core spaces of shipping, right? And that includes in Asia, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Japan, China. We have an office in Middle East and India. In Europe, we also operate in Italy and Denmark. And then one in Houston in USA.
Okay.
And just that was a development of the recent years. And now you could say we basically cover the global span. Yeah.
Okay, so that means basically, if depending on your location, you would then contact the nearest UHL office, and they allowed to quote by themselves, or does everything refer back to headquarters in Hamburg, or how do you structure it?
No, we believe really in the pricing authority within the region because the colleagues in these areas they are the ears and the eyes in the market. They can follow the market development better than I can do from Hamburg. And our size of the company allows still very transparent and smooth communication. And I think it's always about the communication in such an organization. We do global meetings on a regular basis every week. So also I know what's going on in the respective area. But yeah, the pricing authority is within the region, so that, for example, a colleague in Kuala Lumpur or Singapore can get a inquiry from a customer, and also him personally indicates on that. And of course, the coordination about fleet capacity and maybe approvals for one or the other things will be done from here, but that is a minor thing.
I understand. Engineering is a big thing nowadays. I mean, complex projects require complex drawings and lifting and whatnot. I'm not a technical guy, but you know what I'm getting at. Can you, let's say I'm a major shipper and I have this project from Shanghai to Hamburg or Shanghai to Africa or somewhere, and I need some engineering services, how to lash and secure. Can you provide, besides just giving the freight rate, can you also provide method statements and how to guidance?
Yeah, basically the engineering part of United is one of the biggest things we have here to offer to clients. Now we do the interview about United Heavy Lift, but true is that during the last 10 years, we developed into an organization called United Shipping Group, which also includes the United Engineering Solution, United Wind Logistics, and United Heavy Transport. And basically, next to United Heavy Lift, we have then the engineers which form part of a big team of naval architects and structural engineers and hydrodynamics. Basically, you could say the more complicated or complex the project is, the more suitable it is for us, because with our fleet and the engineering, we basically not only sell the cargo space, but we sell the technical solution to clients. And that's also basically our core business during the last few years. And that includes method statements like lifting, lashing, and lifting plans and so on. But that goes also to hydrodynamics, method statements and so on and so forth. And design of material, equipment, and what you have. So basically, this is a huge part of our service.
Yes, and of course, what you transport around the world using your specialized ships is valuable. I mean, it has to be done right.
Definitely, extremely valuable, and that's why I say we have this little heavy lift segment for us, where we have customers with really complex cargo inquiries and also complex requests in terms of scheduling. Could be that they just require 2-3 vessels a month for catering for a project, because they're extremely time sensitive, these projects also. Then the scheduling becomes a really huge demand for it, and we can do that, of course, with having these 19 identical sister vessels. That makes a lot of things much more flexible and even possible compared to maybe other fleets.
Right. Yes, and I do see your point. How do you see the market now? I mean, there's been a lot of talk. Politics, of course, play a role in the market, and nearshoring. That means we must produce in USA, not in China, or you know what I mean. Politics is part of shipping. How do you see the market? How it has been good in the last couple of years. How do you foresee it this year?
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, I'm not a politician, and as such, we can only follow with the development and maybe, define a strategy where you remain flexible to cope with changes. Of course, we will now see what will be the impact, for example, of a new president in USA and new taxes and tariffs and so on. As a carrier like United Heavy Lift, we have to just see how it develops, right? On the other hand, we started this year with quite some good projects in our order book, so to say. So our utilization rate is rather high. That is also because of the fact that certain clients and certain projects, they require our type of tonnage, and they are better reserved in an early stage. So a lot of our fixtures for this year were already placed last year, and it continues also into next year and the following year, so to say. So maybe the short-term impact may not be too big, but let's see. I think it's impossible to forecast the future because if you ask me 6 years ago, nobody would have thought about the COVID and the Panama Canal drought and Houthis attacking vessels in the Gulf of Aden area and so on. I mean, this are all kind of impacts where I think it shows that the more flexible you are to maneuver through it, the better you can cope with it.
Correct. Well said indeed. Speaking of the not the U.S. Canal, the Panama Canal. Speaking about the Suez Canal, do you transit via the Suez? I hear from the grapevine that it's slowly starting again. How do you, as a ship owner, view that kind of transit?
Now, no, we've not been sailing through Suez Canal since almost a year now. It's just that, I mean, from different aspects, mainly insurance and safety aspects, it's not really possible. No. And basically, as a carrier ship owner, you would always have the safety of vessel, cargo, and crew as a top, and that cannot be guaranteed. And me personally, I would not like to sail through that area. So how can you demand it from anybody else then? And let's see. I mean, it's also, I think, talking about a ceasefire in Israel or in the Gaza Strip. I mean, how fragile is it? It's difficult to be to really judge here from here. Of course, we are observing the situation, but at the moment, I think it's also more like a short-term ceasefire, right? It's only for a couple of weeks, so it remains to be seen how that continues.
Correct. Another good answer there. How, just for our viewers who are not so familiar with the economics of, let's say, steaming slow or fast or whatever, how many days extra does it, if, for example, you say Hamburg to Singapore, you go south of Africa or via Suez, how many days extra is it actually with let's say, average speed to go via Africa instead of Suez? How many days are lost?
It's difficult to just say in general because it depends also on the season, right? If there's a winter season in South Hemisphere, like south of Africa, you can lose a lot of days there. And sheltering in Mozambique and so on, we experience that also. But I mean, I think a rough estimation we did is that you're losing up to 10% or more on the capacity of the annual fleet, right? If you have like more or less every vessel passing through, which was more or less the case for United Heavy Lift, which is then of course having a huge impact, right? And that's what we saw also, not only the heavy lift fleet but also containers and so on.
Yes. No. There's been a lot of talk about this and what's going on, and of course we talk about emissions, and of course the more you sail, the more you emit, no matter what. So interesting times indeed. Of course, the Panama Canal, they I understood had some draft problems, but that seems to be better now. You transit there also a lot, right?
It's becoming better. On the other hand, they still have also this booking scheme where you have to book your slot for the transit earlier, and I think there's also like a priority. The bigger the company, like a container or whatever, they have the priority service then. So it's not completely back to normal, but I think the impact is rather small.
Yes. So you have some long-term contracts. You are active in the market. You have overseas offices. You do sales. You meet with customers. I take it you have a mix of customers on your vessels. I mean, some direct. You also have some forwarders who book with you. What is your policy regarding freight forwarders? Because as you know, some shipping lines want to do everything themselves. But how do you view? You have a mix or healthy mix there, or how do you view it?
Yeah, here our organization has always been working with forwarders. This is our core business basically, and the forwarders, the big names, of course, they also control a lot of business and projects in our market. So no, this is basically a big part of our business, and everybody has the same chance, and it's a big mix, I would say. Of course, then there's business that is being worked directly. But we always support everybody, especially, I mean, how could we not do it, right?
Sure. No, but it's good to have a clear policy statement so people know where you stand, of course. And I think in United Heavy, say you have 19 ships. Do you have further expansion plans, or what does the future hold for you on that score?
I mean, to not say too much of a detail, but I think if you just look at the development of the United Heavy Lift organization during the last 10 years, there was always growth and there's always development. And one thing is clear, you cannot just assume that you are now in a good position, lean back, because that is where you lose the competition, right? And definitely we don't want to do that. And we have really experienced people here on board in the management who are also able to navigate through all these market developments. And it remains to be seen. On the other hand, of course, as I say, we at the moment have a very modern fleet. So we are at the moment a good step ahead, and we will monitor the development also in regards to new regulations and so on. And take it from there.
Very interesting. One of my final questions for you, Leif, is just maybe out of the blue. I mean, 19 ships is pretty impressive, and if you develop further, could one see that United Heavy Lift would have a kind of liner service at some stage, that or semi-liner, that you say, okay, every month we have direct sailing from, say, Europe to Asia or Europe to somewhere? Do you think that is in the cards in the future, or?
I think what we are performing even now, and even 10 years ago when we started, was always the core of a semi-liner service between Europe and Asia, and vice versa, which is still basically the core trade lane. Of course, now with our offices all over the world and a bigger fleet, we're able to cover the whole world, but this would be the main trade lane. And it's, as I say, very much our semi-liner trade here. A part of that, of course, we are in a cooperation with United Marquesa Line, who then also add fleet capacity on the Africa trade. I think this is also well known, and
Okay, that's I must say impressive. I've seen some of your vessel in north of Sweden, way up close, and very impressive. As you said, gigantic decks and everything. Seem very ideal.
Yeah, and we've seen them a lot also in the Arctic area, right, in the Baltic also, because of the high ice class they have. So I mean, this
yeah,
is also
right,
one of the
right.
factors that customer know, and in some time of the years for certain projects, there's almost no way around it to
No.
consider the F900 fleet. Yeah.
That's what is the draft of the vessels in general?
It also depends on the cargo,
Right,
the constellation of cargos and so on. But what I can say is that they can go on an extremely shallow draft. So
right.
even they have an impressive intake and a good width and so on. But we've been able to go far below 6 meter draft. So
Wow.
we are able to go into ports where there's really severe draft
Yes.
restrictions. And
It,
yeah,
I remember I was at a UHL Focus up in Kopmanholmen in the
yeah.
north of Sweden, and that little pier, I people couldn't believe that you actually could get in there. So
Yeah,
it was very
if you see the
impressive.
vessel, you think it's impossible, but that's again we have these all the engineers behind it, and
Yes.
now we have also our own crewing agency, so
Yeah.
our
Right.
own people on the bridge and
Right.
who are crewing the vessels.
Okay. So the very final question, what kind of flag state do you have for your vessels? I mean, there are some countries that don't like this or that flag or
Uh,
whatever.
no, that's also another good aspect. Actually, we are
Yes.
flying under Portugal fleet, so
Ah,
the EU fleet or flag also is a huge advantage because
yeah.
it allows you also to operate here on a cabotage business in Europe, for example. That happens
Understand.
also from
Understand.
time to time.
So no Liberia flag for you.
No, no, no. I think it's a good flag.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, Leif, very good. It's excellent. I must say, nothing further comes to mind. I think you have, at least what I know from my own experience, you have a good name in the market, and I have been pleased to have this interview with you. I want to say formally, Leif, many thanks to you for this chance to interview you.
Thanks a lot for the opportunity and the time. And yeah,
You are very welcome, Leif. And to all our listeners, viewers, and readers from around the world, this was yet another great interview by Project Cargo Weekly. Our special guest of honor today has been Mr. Leif Müller, the Global Commercial Director at United Heavy Lift, based in Hamburg, Germany. A most competent person and a competent company if you ever have heavy lifts. So do contact him directly or any of their branch offices around the world. For me, editor of Project Cargo Weekly, I will be in touch. And until further notice, thank you very much.